So I really wanted to talk to you guys today about the graduation of Neena Makurano, because I feel like it's a really interesting, specific VTuber case that we really haven't seen a lot of in the past when it comes to graduations and terminations. So Production Kawaii had a talent named Neena Makurano, and they were actually terminated because they broke the terms of their contract. At first, they had planned for her to graduate, but they ended up changing their mind and saying that she was going to be terminated. Originally, she was going to graduate on August 2nd. Instead, they decided to terminate her on June 3rd. So quite the accelerated time frame. And the reasoning for that is because she allegedly leaked confidential information about the company, leaking false information and fake news, including slander against the company, involved VTuber activities other than Production Kawaii, which is almost always against policy. There's usually an exclusivity clause. So because of this perceived triple threat of breaches of contract, they're completely terminating not just the talent, but also the Kickstarter project that they had planned. A lot of stuff is going up in smoke because of this sudden termination that is well ahead of their graduation. And a lot of people are confused, and I was too when I first looked at this. What's the motive behind terminating someone that's going to graduate in 2 months anyway? Everything could have ended happily, and then suddenly she broke NDA and shut off entirely? Like, what? And a lot of us just don't have any context for what's going on. It feels like someone got fired and the company they were working for is trying to destroy their reputation. And you know, on the surface, it might feel like an NDA is a pretty minor offense. But I do want to clarify that a contract is still a contract. Even if you don't like the terms of it, you still agreed to them when you signed on. So whether or not you like the terms or whether or not you agree with an NDA is totally irrelevant. And people are pretty mad about this because a lot of people aren't in the loop as to exactly what happened. For example, we've got this individual here saying, what kind of company makes talents go over a termination statement and bash a former talent live on stream, referring to 2 other talents from this agency who spoke on the matter. And, you know, a lot of people feel like it's unprofessional to have other talents comment on the situation and, you know, berate the talent in question. But again, a lot of this anger is coming from lack of information. Like, you know, Kawaii itself did not ask the talents to bash Neena. The people who addressed it of their own free will, and we can typically assume that they're speaking genuinely. Namiji backs this up with her own statement. Any talent who chooses to address the situation is doing because they want to. They've not been asked by anyone to talk about or disparage the original talent, Neena. She says that in her video she did her best to stay neutral, and she apologizes if she sounded angry or hurt. It's a struggle, it's a difficult situation, but at the end of the day, everyone just wants what's best for everybody, including Neena. Let's actually go over the video that Namiji made covering the specific topic.
This stream is specifically to talk about the fact that Neena has been terminated. All remaining talents of Production Kawaii support management in this decision. In fact, we discussed it with them. We're first confirmed with Neena herself. It was not a surprise. It was in no way the rug being pulled out from under her. There were several meetings that management had with Neena before it happened. They confirmed with her last night in a final meeting that they plan to terminate her, and she agreed on all points of her termination that she had done those things.
So that's actually really interesting because this entirely speaks against the outcry that we've seen on Twitter. People such as myself, you know, are typically anti-corporate and then pro-talent. Obviously, I immediately entered into the situation with an anti-corporate, pro-VTuber bias, but it's interesting to hear that Neena was fully aware of and agreed with her own termination. That's not something you see or hear a whole heck of a lot. So it's interesting that it was amicable, that it was mutual, that they wanted to leave. So I'm very curious to hear why they wanted to leave in the first place.
There is no doubt that she broke the contract on all points stated in the announcement. Firstly, let's discuss the points in which she broke the contract. We know that Neena had planned to graduate. She gave her reasons. She said that She tried to ask for less time to stream and that they didn't agree, and so she asked to graduate. Is this information sanctioned by management? We've not been told anything of what to say.
So just to chime in here, because I've watched other videos on this topic, the talent was required by contract to stream at least 2 hours per stream and at least 4 times a week. 8 hours a week in total. That's less than a part-time job. And in my opinion, those are more than reasonable working hours. That's just my 2 cents.
But anything that I am saying, they are okay with us saying because they know that we wanted to discuss this. And so they gave us the go-ahead to say pretty much everything. Neena wanted to graduate. Management asked her to stay 2 months longer. They wanted her to stay through the end of the Kickstarter. So they asked her to stay until August. She wanted to leave earlier. They asked her to stay. She agreed. However, Neena, rather than staying the last 2 months and abiding by the contract that we all have signed, that we had ample time to read and understand and have discussed before, just weeks before, in fact, she decided to try to start streaming on a new persona before graduating, which is in violation of her contract. That is the major violation.
And see, now that's probably why she wanted more time off, less than 8 hours a week, is because she wanted to stream on this other persona, which there's nothing wrong with wanting to leave a company and strike out as an indie. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But with any relationship, be it contractual or personal, you have to end one relationship before you start another one. It's not unreasonable to expect that, in my opinion.
In Kawaii, we have an exclusivity clause in our contract, as you will find that most smaller corporations have. We cannot stream or operate under another VTuber model.
Not only is that reasonable, even Twitch has an exclusivity contract where you can't multi-stream on Twitch and other platforms if you are an affiliate. And on top of that, you can't upload your VOD to YouTube within the first 24 hours of streaming it on Twitch. It is totally normal to have various types of exclusivity contracts. So the fact that they knowingly violated that speaks to Neena's character a little bit. And this is why I'm not angry about the situation and why I'm more curious for more details. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what else comes to light in this video.
While we are in the company, that is not allowed. We all agreed to this. We know that it is in the contract. And she blatantly said that she did not respect the contract and that it is just something that can be broken because it's just a contract. Obviously, not respecting the fact that it is a legally binding document.
That's genuinely weird to think that you have the ability to break a contract because it's just a contract. Yeah, no shit. It's a legally binding document. That's the whole point. The fact that she didn't understand the terms of her own contract, you're a grown-ass adult. You should understand the contracts that you sign. It really just paints Neena out to be reckless and immature to feel like you can willfully break a legally binding contract. Because when you do that, the company has the ability to sue you for breach of contract. Obviously, the company has decided not to do that because that would just create more problems.
Secondly, the other points include breaking NDA and talking about things to third parties being a select group of fans that she decided to go ahead and try to shepherd to her new persona.
You know what? That makes perfect sense. Anytime you're going to strike out as an indie after working for a country, obviously you want as much of your old audience as possible to move over to your new platform. So it should surprise absolutely no one. They tried to shepherd a portion of their audience to their new character. It makes sense why that's a violation of the contract. But I got to admit, if I ever got signed on, and I probably never will, I love being an indie, but if I ever did get signed on, the first thing I would want to do is tell all of my friends, hey, I got signed on and I'm doing this new persona. Even though I fully understand why that's a breach of contract, I also fully understand why Neena would want to do that. You want your close friends and your biggest fans to follow you to the new platform. So that's totally understandable from both sides, in my opinion.
We are not allowed to interact with fans in a private setting. We are only allowed to interact with fans publicly.
That's interesting. I did not know that. You cannot interact with fans in a private setting. Hearing it out loud, it makes sense in retrospect, and I'm assuming most VTubers have some similar contract, but I didn't even consider that might be a thing. that you wouldn't be able to interact with fans in a private setting. That makes me very much not want to be an industry VTuber, because while it makes sense, you don't want to have unsupervised interactions with fans because of the drama that could cause. That would really suck, because personally, I love being able to interact with my friends, because a lot of my friends were fans who immediately became friends because we communicated in the comments and then in the Twitter DMs and such and so on and so forth. Like, you meet a lot of really cool people through being a content creator, and the ability to move that from the comment section to the DMs is very nice. It's very handy. I love all the people that I've gotten to know through this job. So I understand why it's against contract, but I also fully understand why Neena wanted to do that. That's not a extreme or unreasonable thing for someone to want. I want it. I do it. You know what I'm saying?
She took a group of her biggest fans, decided to tell them where she was going before graduation, and attempted to usher them over there to follow her. The talents found out about this because when we found out about her new persona, she did not tell us, by the way. She told us the same reason that she told all of you. We found out about it. It was a betrayal to all of us. And we could very plainly, clearly see her fans from Neena already there in the very first days, which is highly unusual. She disseminated this information to her fans in order to get them to follow her there. And she then also talked to those fans about what was happening in the company, what management was discussing with her for her graduation, all sorts of other things in order to tarnish the reputation of our company and the other talents as well, once she was aware that we knew of her new persona.
Ooh, okay. Okay, that is bad. This is why when you work at a company, you're not allowed to interact privately with your fans. Oh man, trashing the company and your coworkers to your fans, it's pretty indefensible. No, I can understand why you'd want to do it, but no, you can't do that. Even for me, who's trying to be as reasonable as possible to Neena and trying to relate to what I would do if I were in the same situation, trash talking other people behind their back, first of all, that's just disrespectful. Talking trash about other people behind their backs is just disrespectful as shit. Like, I can understand that she might need to vent to close friends about something like that, but not to your fans, man. Not to your fans. They don't need to know all the drama. Bruh, come on. There is enough drama in the VTuber community, and you don't need to go around making more. Everything you say to those people, to those fans, who are not your close friends, they're just fans, mind you, that's going to immediately disseminate outside of that group of people, and it's going to become rumors on the internet, and we're all going to play a game of telephone. It's going to get misunderstood, mistranslated, miscommunicated, exaggerated, and twisted, and then that's how rumors spread. You tell a few people a little bit in confidence, and then they tell some other people who tell some other people who tell some other people, and since it wasn't a public announcement, everybody's operating with slightly different information, and it just creates an unnecessary headache for everyone involved. Oh, that's bad. That's objectively bad.
And that she continued to disrespect our contract, which she agreed to. She disrespected management because she lied to them as well. That is certainly not the first time that she's disrespected management, but that's not the discussion today.
Okay, I hate to sound like a gossipy bitch here, but ooh, that is not the first time she's disrespected management. You know she wouldn't have said that if there wasn't a lot more to that story. That's not a one or two instance thing. That's a pattern of behavior. It really makes you wonder what Neena was up to behind the scenes that they aren't talking about. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, that slight hint is the most damning thing she said all video. This is not the first time she's been disrespectful to management, considering how disrespectful this whole thing is. It's not a surprise that Neena and the company didn't want to work together anymore. It's really a sad situation. This kind of sucks for everybody, it seems.
Management was very kind in allowing her out of her contract early, where our contract terms are for 1 year.
Well, she says management was kind of let her out of her contract early, but seeing as there were multiple instances of disrespect to begin with, I wouldn't really call it kindness that management let her go early. I would say they probably just wanted Neena out of their hair. If she's being openly disrespectful to management, and if I were in that management position, I wouldn't want to pursue discipline. I would just want to get this talent out of my hair so that I don't have to deal with them. Managing people is very stressful, and most managers just don't want to deal with it. So I feel like that's not them being nice. That's them wanting to get rid of her so they can go back to business as usual.
Out at 7 months was very kind of management. I think those are the main points of information. I believe Neena is actually quite happy with this termination.
Yeah, no shit. This whole situation, you know, people in the Twitter comments and quote retweets were really upset at Kawaii because they assumed that they were in the wrong. But if you think about it, this benefits Neena in most ways. This isn't the company bashing Neena. This is the company getting rid of a talent that didn't want to be there in the first place with the least amount of drama possible. Neena is actually getting the best end of the deal here because she gets to break her contract early with basically no penalties. She's bringing a portion of her audience, which she used this company to build. Kawaii helped her build that audience and then take them over to her new character, and now she basically gets to be indie after the company built her up with what seems to be basically no consequences other than an early termination, which she wanted anyway. This exclusively leans in Neena's favor. So anyone who is mad at Kawaii Productions over how this was handled, you really got to understand how this exclusively benefits Neena at every level.
I do think so. That's why she agreed to the points of her termination and said, yes, I did do those things because she wanted out. She wanted out early. She wanted out as fast as she could because that is what she tried to do in the first place. So Neena, I'm sure, is absolutely fine with this termination.
All right, well, that's mostly it. I think we'll end the video here. But yeah, I hope this cleared up any misconceptions that people may have had that Kawaii Productions might have been in the wrong or might have been the villain in this scenario. I don't want to call Neena a villain. I feel like everything she did had a very clear motivation that I feel like really any talent in her situation would have wanted to do. I feel like there's just a level of restraint that you exercise out of respect for the company and your coworkers when you're leaving a company that she didn't exercise. That's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to disrespect someone for doing something that if I were in the same situation, I probably would have done myself. You know what I'm saying? But that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you learned something about the situation, and I hope you were entertained. Bye, guys.